Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am continuing with my Lord of the Rings Hobbit movie reviews. Now as I start to take a look at the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy, now here I am with a review for The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So, yeah, obviously, of course, like, the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy is really looked at by many to be, like, one of the greatest film trilogies of all time. I mean, all three films are in the top 15 on IMDb's top 250 list. Is the Yeah, I mean, this movie is ranked number 11. The Two Towers is ranked number 15, and Return of the King is ranked number 7. So, yeah, these movies have really been regarded as like true classics. And yeah, Lord of the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy are just like masterpieces, really. I mean, they really are like really great films. And I mean, yeah, they've just won like so many awards. I mean, yeah, these films really have been like one of the most critically acclaimed trilogies of all time. I mean, yeah, this these movies are like along the lines of trilogies like the Toy Story films and Back to the Future movies. Yeah, the Star Wars movies. Oh yeah, of course, like yeah, this is really looked at probably like some even regard this as the greatest film trilogy of all time, and that's definitely like arguable. Like you could really make the argument that this is possibly the greatest film trilogy of all time. It is definitely up there. It's probably at least top three, and yeah, these are just really great films. And out of the Peter Jackson trilogy, this one I would probably say is my favorite of the trilogy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I really all have like probably gotten the most enjoyment out of this one out of the three films. Yeah, this one for me, this one just really seems to be like the most focused on the ring itself. I mean, yeah, this one is really mostly like focused on like the ring. While the other two films, while they're really like not completely like totally set on like the story of the ring and stuff. Yeah, this is one is really where we do find a lot about the ring, and this one is like the with the ring. It's mostly focused on the ring, and the other two really are more considered on just like the journeys and adventures and stuff, and like what we would see later on with like the two main stories of this with like Sam and Frodo, and of course with like the others with Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli and Gandalf and all that. So yeah, this one seems to be really the most focused on the ring, and yeah, that's really what I like. Probably why it's really my favorite one, because I mean, considering the title, Lord of the Rings, this one is really like the one that's mostly set on the ring. So yeah, that's a really, I guess that's why I really do like think this one is probably my favorite one. But yeah, all three films really are great. Yeah, of course, like these films have really just like had everything. And, I mean, yeah, people have really said like everything about these films. So yeah, what else can I say about them? I mean, they have like a great cast, of course, and yeah, some phenomenal action scenes, some really great a great story, which is really told like the entire story is told through all three films. But yeah, with the yeah, with this film and the Two Towers, like I said before, these ones really do. The first two films do really have the story that the Ralph Bakshi film was telling. So, yeah, and like I said, I'm really like comparing the story of those two films first to the Ralph Bakshi film, like I said before, and yeah, like I said before, these films like have the advantage since like with the story that the Ralph Bakshi film told, like these films do have the advantage that the story is told through two films, whereas the Bakshi film was only telling the story in one film. So yeah, of course, like these films are able to like include a lot more and tell much more of the story since it is stretched out into two films rather than just one like the Bakshi film. And yeah, so that gives these films the advantage. And yeah, the story is told better, of course. And yeah, of course, like these films just have like great cast. Of course, it has Elijah Wood as Frodo, Ian McKellen as Gandalf, Sean Astin as Sam, and Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn, or Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd as Merry and Pippin, John Rhys Davies as Gimli, Orlando Bloom as Legolas. This yeah, of course, Christopher Lee as Saruman. Yeah, and just yeah, it goes on and on of all the casts in this like large, enormous cast that these films have, and yeah, they all do like really great. Of course, like Ian McKellen, he's great as Gandalf, and yeah, Orlando Bloom is great as Legolas, and yeah, these films just yeah, pretty much like the entire cast is really great. Yeah, and like I said before, Elijah Wood, he's really good as Frodo, but yeah, like I said before, in the Bakshi film, he just does seem like a little bit more stronger since he actually is able to fight for himself and stuff, as opposed to how he is written in this film. And so, yeah, so but aside from a few characters, and of course, like in these films, like Merry and Pippin are written like a lot more goofy and stuff, but yeah, they still are like very still enjoyable characters to watch. And yeah, Sean Bean, of course, he's in this film as Boromir, and obviously, of course, he dies. Shocker, right? Sean Bean dying in a movie. Yeah, so yeah, these films just have an enormous cast, and yeah, they all do really great jobs in this film. And yeah, Sam, he's written like much better in these films than he is in the Bakshi film. He actually does stick with Frodo, and he's really like really loyal to Frodo and stuff. And so yeah, a lot. So yeah, pretty much like aside from Frodo and possibly like Merry and Pippin, depending on what type of personalities you like the rest of the cast, the characters are written like a lot better in these films than they are in the Bakshi film. And yeah, the story is like told like really really well. It's told much better than the Bakshi film, of course. Like this is only like the first half of the story that the Bakshi film had, but yeah, it's told like really great. It aid in this film, and yeah, it just has everything. It has great action, a great story, a great cast, great characters. Yeah, this film just like really does have it all, and yeah, these films in general really do have it all. And Peter Jackson just he did great at telling the story. So yeah, this is just like a really great film. I would give this film 3.75 stars out of 4. So yeah, it just really is a great film, and so yeah, I've already gone on for about 7.5 minutes about it, and yeah, this is a 3-hour film, got a lot to talk about, so let me not waste any time and just get right into it. Alright, so just like how the Bakshi film opened up, this film once again opens up like telling just the backstory of like the second age of Middle Earth, and this time it actually is told like as opposed to how it was in the Bakshi film told through shadows and stuff, we do actually see it like straight up told in this film with like the lords of elves, dwarfs, and men are given rings of power, and the Dark Lord Sauron forges the One Ring, and then he he uses like a great part of his power to dominate into the ring, and then and yeah, a final alliance of the men and elves then battle Sauron's forces in Mordor, and then Prince Isildur of Gondor then defeated Sauron by severing his finger along with the ring. And then Sauron's like physical form ended up being destroyed, of course, yeah. But then, like, unfortunately, like the ring's influence ended up like corrupting Isildur, and like Isildur ended up like taking the ring for himself rather than just destroying it. And later on, Isildur ended up being killed by the orcs, and the ring ended up being lost for 2,500 years. And then, like, it ended up, of course, being found by Gollum, and yeah, he Gollum like ended up like owning the ring for like 500 years. Here's when then the ring was then found by Bilbo Baggins, and then the film then cut to 60 years later, here when where Bilbo was celebrating his 111th birthday in the Shire, and it then showed Gandalf arriving in the Shire, Gandalf the Grey as he's known in this film, yeah, and he was greeted by of course a Frodo and the other hobbits of the Shire, and and yeah, sorry. And yeah, then during Bilbo's birthday celebration, of course, like he announced that he intended to leave the Shire for one last adventure, and he left his inheritance along with the ring to Frodo, his nephew. And then, so Bilbo was like trying to be mysterious about it, and he put on the ring, turning himself invisible, making it look like he just disappeared. And as he was like backing up and at his home, like Gandalf then was then like confronting Bilbo, and then like it showed Bilbo was like starting to be corrupted by the ring, and he was like wanting to keep the ring for himself, and was like feeling like Gandalf wanted to try to steal it from him, but Gandalf then intervened and like through some like a dark tone to a Bilbo. Gandalf like then ended up convincing Bilbo to leave the ring behind, which he did. And then, yeah, Gandalf then eventually, of course, then learned of the ring's past, and then he was explaining the ring's history to Frodo with how it still does contain a Sauron's spirit within the ring and stuff. And he was just. And then, like, he also learned that, Gollum also ended up, like, being tortured by the orcs, and Gollum, during his torture, was only able to utter two words, which were Shire and Baggins, and then like Gandalf then just then convinced Frodo that he should leave the Shire, and then like Frodo's best friend Samwise Gamgee ended up like overhearing the conversation, and yeah, Gandalf then just made Sam promise just to watch over Frodo and protect him and stuff. So yes, Sam then, of course, like ended up like accompanying Frodo on Frodo, well, to leaving the Shire and stuff, and then Gandalf also, oh, ended up like riding to Isengard to meet with his fellow wizard Saruman the White, who's played by Christopher Lee, and Christopher Lee, he's great as Saruman, yeah, and yeah, at first Gandalf was just like speaking with Saruman as like they're friends and stuff, but then and like it's eventually revealed that Saruman actually has joined forces with Sauron and unleashed the Ring Wraiths, aka the Black Riders, after Frodo, and then we then like had a small fight between Saruman and Gandalf, and then eventually like Saruman ended up overpowering Gandalf, and Saruman just ended up like imprisoning Gandalf, and Merry and Pippin also, meanwhile, then eventually ended up like joining with Frodo and Sam, and then they ended up like evading the ring wraiths, and then they eventually ended up arriving in Bree, and yeah, and they were like meaning to meet with Gandalf, but Gandalf like never showed, and then they then came across like the ranger Strider, who was actually Aragorn, but yeah, he wasn't revealed to be Aragorn until later on. And then, yeah, as it showed that they were in like some kind of a shack or something, like there was like something that caused Frodo to fall over, and like the ring ended up like going loose, and Frodo like ended up like trying to catch the ring, but the ring just ended up like landing right onto Frodo's finger, and then like Frodo just then ended up like turning invisible, and then yeah, of course like that put Frodo like in like the different world with the Black Riders and stuff, and yeah, Frodo then eventually ended up like taking off the ring, and yeah, Frodo then like could tell like the dangers and stuff of the ring really, and then later on, like like during the night and stuff, then like the Black Riders ended up ambushing the hobbits, and then as Frodo like had put on the ring again, he ended up like being well, of course, like as like the first as the hobbits were like trying to fight off the Black Riders, like Frodo then was like face to face with one, and of course, like rather than actually fighting, he just dropped his sword. So, yeah, Frodo really just he wasn't written very strong in this film. Yeah, and yeah, eventually then Frodo ended up putting the ring back on, and yeah, he ended up like being stabbed by one of the Black Riders with the cursed Morgul blade. Hate. And then yeah, the Hobbit ended up then being saved by Strider's lover Arwen, and then yeah, she then was able to help Frodo and the others. Here's to Rivendell, and yeah, Frodo ended up like being healed. Yeah, and Gandalf then was also there with Frodo and met back up with Frodo. Oh, and yeah, Gandalf explained how he did escape Isengard, and he escaped like by flying away on the back of a giant eagle. Yeah, and eventually then a council meeting was like held to like determine where the ring they should go to really destroy the ring, or who should really destroy the ring, and it could only be destroyed in Mount Doom. And there was like, of course, like the characters we had already seen right here. There was Gandalf, Bilbo was there, Strider was there, and yeah, there were also like characters. Legolas then was there, along with Gimli, who was played by John Rhys Davies. Yeah, and also Boromir, who's played by Sean Bean, as I already said. Yeah. And then this is when it was revealed that Strider is actually Aragorn, the son of Arathorn, and was also Isildur's heir, for the king of Gondor. Yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, as like they were all arguing about who should take the ring to Mount Doom, Frodo then volunteered to take the ring, and then Gandalf, of course, like decided to accompany Frodo, and then that's when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli all like agreed to go accompany Frodo as well, along with Sam, Merry, and Pippin. So yeah, and then after that, they were all named the Fellowship of the Ring. And yeah, and before they actually set off on their quest, Bilbo then like just gave Frodo like the protective shirt, which was like made of durable material and stuff, and also gave Frodo his sword, or sting as it was called. Yeah, and of course like there has that really like cringy image of when Bilbo saw that Frodo was carrying the ring. Bilbo actually wanted to hold it again, and then he just like lashed out like a creature and just like screamed or something at a Frodo with a very possessed looking face. So yeah, kind of like a moment. Yeah, and like Saruman eventually like discovered the Fellowship like traveling to destroy the ring, and then like Sauron set his forces off through the mines of Moira and stuff, and then they eventually like the Fellowship ended up like discovering that the Moria dwarfs have been slain, and then like after like an accident by Pippin, after he accidentally like caused a bunch of noise by like pushing a bunch of stuff down I don't know if it was a well or what it was, but then yeah, that then like gave away their position, and then they ended up being attacked by orcs, and also like as they were fighting with the dorks, then they also like ended up like being attacked by a huge cave troll, which I felt was like kind of a ripoff of the mountain troll from the first Harry Potter movie. And yeah, of course, like the first Harry Potter movie and this film, they were just like released about a month apart from each other. So yeah, it was kind of like a real close. So yeah, I guess like it's not really a ripoff, since like I guess both these films were in production at the same time, and so yeah. So yeah, I guess like it wasn't really a ripoff if like they were. I guess they were like in production at the same time, and they were just released a month apart from each other. So yeah, I guess like neither studio really did know that the other one was using a troll and stuff. So yeah, I guess you can't really complain about either one ripping off each other. Yeah, and yeah, the troll like was going after Frodo, and it looked as if the troll had fatally stabbed Frodo, but yeah, Frodo, of course, was like protected by the shirt Bilbo gave him. So yeah, Frodo wasn't harmed at all, even though like he had a really like strained look on his face when he was being stabbed. So yeah, but yeah, eventually, yeah, the orcs and the troll ended up being defeated. He did, but then like Saruman had like called upon like an ancient demon, in which was known as a Balrog. Is that's it? Yeah. And then yeah, the Fellowship was like running, trying to run for it. Yeah. And yeah, Gandalf like did battle with the Balrog and cast the Balrog into like a chasm and stuff. But yeah, then like Gandalf ended up like being kind of like pulled down by the Balrog, and then yeah, Gandalf like at first he was just like holding onto the edge of the cliff that he was over. Yeah, before Gandalf actually fell, he just said, "Fly, you fools!" And then Gandalf just like fell a large all down, supposedly to his death, but of course he didn't, as it was like revealed in the next film what happened. So yeah. And then yeah, Aragorn then assumed the command of the Fellowship afterwards, and then they ended up reaching a Lothlorien in the home of other elves such as Galadriel and Celeborn. And then yeah, Galadriel, who was like I guess she was like some kind of mistress or something of Lothlorien. Yeah, and she was just like telling Frodo that he's the only one that can complete the quest, and that one of his friends may actually try to take the ring from him. And then, meanwhile, as that was going on, Saruman then like had an army of Uruk-hai, is that how it's said, to kill the Fellowship. Yeah. And as the Fellowship then set off to Parth Galen, uh, Frodo ended up like being confronted by Boromir here, and it was shown that Boromir was like trying to take the ring from Frodo in desperation, but then yeah, Frodo then just was like felt that the ring was like could corrupt like the rest of his friends and stuff, and yeah, then as Aragorn approached Frodo, Frodo just told Aragorn to protect Frodo from himself. And so then yeah, Frodo then just ran off, and Frodo was then decided that he should go to Mordor alone. Well, and then yeah, the Fellowship ended up like being attacked by the Uruk-hai, and then yeah, Merry and Pippin then ended up like being just taken captive by them, and then yeah, as Boromir was trying to do battle with the chieftain of the Uruk, he ended up being fatally wounded by it. But then yeah, before like the chieftain could actually kill him, Aragorn then intervened and ended up destroying the chieftain. And then yeah, Aragorn then was just like was just like cradling up with not cradling, but yeah, trying to mend up uh Boromir. But then yeah, Boromir then eventually ended up dying. Surprise, Sean Bean dying in a movie again. Yeah. And then yeah, and then as Frodo then was just like a paddling off on his own to Boromir, Sam then and chased after Frodo, and he tried to catch up to Frodo by swimming to him, but Sam like couldn't swim, and so then he started drowning. But then Frodo then came back and pulled Sam back up, and yeah, Sam just reminded Frodo that he did make a promise to Gandalf. Don't you leave him Samwise Gamgee, and I don't mean to. And then yeah, they embraced each other, and then yeah, Sam then went along with Frodo to Boromir, and then yeah, it was then like with Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli, they then like just placed the Boromir in a here, here, and yeah, they then just set him down a waterfall and stuff. Yeah, and then yeah, Gimli just felt that the Fellowship had like failed for their quest, but yeah, Aragorn and Legolas then just said that as long as they stick together, they won't fail. And so then, yeah, it showed that they then set out because they knew that Merry and Pippin had been taken by the uh, Uruk. Kai, and so then they set off to find them, and then the film just ended with Sam and Frodo then arriving at Mordor, and yeah, they were then just talking, saying how they may never see the others again, and Frodo just told Sam that he was glad Sam was with him, and then it just showed them starting to journey into Boromir, and then that's not Boromir, sorry, Mordor, and that's how it ended. So yeah, this then was like ending on a cliffhanger to show that there would be another film made. So yeah, I do like how it just kind of ended on a cliffhanger like that, guaranteeing that the the story would continue. So yeah, that's one of the things I like about these films, how they like kind of just like end, and then the next film just basically picks up right where the last film left off. So basically, like trying to treat this as just like one big movie in a sense. So yeah, I do like that about these films also. So yeah, this is just like a really great film. 3.75 stars out of 4, like I said. It just is like a really, really great film. I mean, I would recommend this, but yeah, who am I kidding? All of you have already seen this film, obviously. Especially like if you're watching this film, of course you have seen it before. So yeah, I don't even need to recommend it because everyone has already seen it, and it's just so critically acclaimed. All three of these films are. So yeah, really, really great film, and like I said, probably my favorite since it is like probably the most, well, it is the one that's is most focused on the ring, as opposed to the other films where it's mainly set on just the individual well, set stories with Sam and Frodo, and then with the others on their stories and their quest. So yeah, but still overall a really great film, and I really do enjoy this film. So yeah, great film overall. Alright, so that is it for my review of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.